Well, in my ongoing attempt to generate a little bit of hype for the Ghostbusters board game that's coming up by Cryptozoic, thought I'd go over the ghost cards that they've released so far on their Kickstarter updates, and maybe touch a little bit on where they came from. Most of them seem to have come from the real Ghostbusters cartoon. Some of them have come from movies, obviously, and a few are from the toys. And one, I think only one, is from the comics. So I've got them in order of power level, and within power level they are alphabetized. So the first one we've got is the Fearsome Flush, and as we went over on the rules video, everything has a to hit, a to trap, a win hit, a win trap, and win missed ability. So to hit this ghost, you'd have to roll a 3 or higher on your proton die. It only takes one stream to trap it. When it's hit, see trapped, because it only takes the one stream. When trapped, Fearsome Flush slimes 2 spaces away in 4 directions. Roll the movement die, even numbers, odd numbers, then place onto your character card. When missed, moves in a random direction until an obstacle or map edge stops movement. Wow. So he just flies along there. So down here you see they've got how he slimes. On evens, he goes horizontal and vertical. On odds, he goes diagonal. Then they have a little summary of the ghost. These class 1 toilets of terror endlessly spew ectoplasm in every direction. Little disgusting. These were toys. I don't know that they were ever on the TV show. They might have been. The real Ghostbusters show, it's been a long time since I've seen most of the episodes. But I do remember owning the toy. They're a little gross and weird too. So next, we have the Galloping Ghoul. They are 3+ to hit, to trap 1 stream, because probably again they're class 1. When hit is just their trapped ability, because they only take 1 stream. When trapped, each Ghostbuster adjacent to this Galloping Ghoul gets slimed. Then place it on your character card. When missed, moves 2 spaces in a random direction. And again, it shows you, which I think is really neat, that they give you this visual representation of what they're talking about, even if this ability is pretty simple. Then, a special ability. When 2 Galloping Ghouls occupy the same space, remove both from the scenario, and then 1 ghost outside the scenario with the next highest class enters that space. So you see 2 Galloping Ghouls create a gruesome twosome, or another ghost of a higher class. They have another summary, which we won't necessarily go over. Then we also have Impossible Mode, Galloping Ghoul. They are still 3+ to hit, still 1 stream to trap. When trapped, each Ghostbuster adjacent to any Galloping Ghoul gets slimed, then place it on your character card. When missed, every Galloping Ghoul moves 2 spaces in a random direction. And then the same thing, when 2 Galloping Ghouls occupy the same space, remove them both from the scenario, and place 1 ghost of a higher level. And these came from the toy, apparently. I don't necessarily remember them myself. Kind of, I guess. But they seem to have come with the Ecto 3, which is like this weird go-kart looking thing. And it came with this thing that they were chasing down. Next, we have the Zombie Taxi Driver. Another Class 1 ghost. I believe he's our last Class 1 ghost. 3+ to hit, 1 stream the trap, no 1 hit ability. When trapped, if the Zombie Taxi Driver is on the Ecto 1, move the Ecto 1 3 spaces in a random direction, then place it on your character card. When missed, if the Zombie Taxi Driver is on the Ecto 1 and this ghost both move 3 spaces together in a random direction twice. Special, at the end of each round, each Zombie Taxi Driver moves 1 space towards the Ecto 1. These actually came from the movie. You could see them in one of the scenes, so that's pretty cool. Next, we have the Gruesome Twosome. These are our first Class 2 ghosts. So you see they're 4+ to hit, require 2 streams to trap. When hit, move 1 space towards that Ghostbuster. When trapped, place it on your character card. When missed, move 1 space towards that Ghostbuster, then moves 1 space in a random direction. So when hit, it shows have the stream, move 1 space. On a miss, moves 1 space, then moves 1 random space. Special, when 2 gruesome twosomes occupy the same space, remove both from the scenario, and then 1 goes from outside the scenario with the next highest class enters the space. And they're showing a Boogaloo manifestation, but it could be anything, obviously. Then this is the impossible mode. Looks the same, except like the Galloping Ghoul, when something happens, you activate every gruesome twosome on the board. And that appears to be the only difference. These were also from a toy. They're apparently from a Peter Venkman. You can see there, these little guys here. They look a lot better. They look a lot better in the Fantasy Flight Game miniature. I don't have a picture of them here, but I might do individual videos for each of the ghosts here. Do a little bit more backstory than I've been doing. Now this is an interesting one. This is the spawn of Cthulhu. Why they didn't just do Cthulhu, I don't know. This is from the cartoon. Maybe it was to separate it from the Edgar Allan Poe mythos entirely. But it's really just scratching off the serial number, because as you can see, this is very actual Cthulhu-like. So they're Class 2, 3+ or higher to hit. Takes 3 streams to trap. When hit, moves 1 space towards the Ghostbuster. When trapped, place it on your character card. When missed, moves 1 space towards the Ghostbuster, then moves 1 space in a random direction. Special. At the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, all spawns of Cthulhu move 1 space towards the nearest Ghostbuster, then remove the oldest stream token from each spawn of Cthulhu. Wow. Push. When a spawn of Cthulhu moves into a Ghostbuster space, they get slimed and are moved 1 space in the same direction. Spawns of Cthulhu cannot leave the map, and obstacles stop their movement. Now, I paused here because I was thinking back to the rules where if a ghost slimes somebody, then they move an additional space in the same direction. So I'm assuming this overrides that. The Cthulhu would move into the Ghostbuster's space, then the Ghostbuster would move, and the Cthulhu would remain in the space that the Ghostbuster just vacated. These are actually, as I said, from the cartoon. They fight Cthulhu. It was actually one of the few episodes that I do remember, and it was pretty good. So that's cool to see here. Then we have the Boogaloo Manifestation. To hit, it's a Class 3. Looks like our first Class 3 ghost. 4+ to hit. Trait takes 3 streams to trap. When hit, moves 1 space towards that Ghostbuster. When trapped, place it on your character card. When missed, moves 2 spaces towards that Ghostbuster, then moves 1 space in a random direction. Special. After missed movement, slime, in 4 directions based on the movement die. Gross. Boogaloo was the leader. Yeah, he was from the cartoon. Leader of leader of all the demons until they established Halloween to celebrate them. I don't remember the manifestation though. I remember Boogaloo, and we'll get to him. But then there's the Impossible Mode Boogaloo, which looks like just the Impossible Mode is just amp it up by doing everything every Boogaloo on the board does when hit or missed. And yeah, this is Boogaloo from the cartoon. We'll get more to him later. And the Librarian. Everybody should know who she is. She's from the movie, like the first scene in the first movie. So she is a level 3, and she's got 2 forms, it looks like. I'm assuming the Librarian can tell us how to change her into the Grey Lady. 3+ to hit. To trap, the Librarian cannot be trapped. When hit, roll the event die until you roll a gate. The Librarian moves until she reaches the nearest space adjacent to a gate, and then flip this card over to transform her into the Grey Lady. When missed, moves to the nearest space adjacent to that Ghostbuster. Special. Ghostbusters within the Librarian's line of sight have their move actions reduced by 1 space. When the librarian leaves the map, roll the event die until you roll a gate, and then place the librarian in a random space adjacent to that gate. Then the Gray Lady is class 3, 3+ to hit. To trap, the Gray Lady cannot be trapped. When hit, roll the event die till you roll a gate. The Gray Lady moves until she reaches the nearest space adjacent to that gate. When missed, moves to the nearest space adjacent to that Ghostbuster. And special, Ghostbusters within the Gray Lady's line of sight, which we've established is free spaces and not obscured by obstacles or anything, have their proton rolls reduced by 1. When the Gray Lady leaves the map, roll the event die until you roll a gate symbol and place the Gray Lady in a random space adjacent to that gate. Oh, pardon me, I keep yawning. And that's her from the movie. It's pretty interesting that you can't catch her. Kind of neat. Next we move on to the Spectral Ghostbusters. These are also from the cartoon, I believe. Kind of cool to see them in the game. They'll be 4+ to hit. 1 stream per Spectral Ghostbuster on the map to trap. When hit, moves 1 space away from that Ghostbuster. When trapped, permanently remove the Spectral Ghostbuster from the scenario. When missed, moves 1 space in a random direction. Special. Setup. When starting a scenario, roll the event die. Place a Spectral Ghostbuster adjacent to each gate except for the symbol rolled. Re-roll on a chaos symbol. At the end of each round, each Spectral Ghostbuster moves 1 space towards the nearest Ghostbuster. Then, each one rolls a proton die against the nearest Ghostbuster within line of sight. On the roll of 4 or higher, that Ghostbuster loses 1 XP. Gross. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. I'm trying to think, because there's 4 of them. Obviously, each based off the core Ghostbusters. And it says to trap 1 stream per Spectral Ghostbuster on the map. So they're stronger as a group. The more you take off, the weaker they individually become, it looks like. Which, again, kind of neat. And this is them from the cartoon. And everyone should know who Slimer is. He's class 5, which is actually higher than I would have thought they would have given him. I would have thought 3 or something, but 5's cool. To hit 4 or higher. To trap 4 streams from at least 2 different Ghostbusters. When hit, moves 2 spaces towards that Ghostbuster. When trapped, place it on your character card. When missed, each adjacent Ghostbuster gets slimed, then Slimer moves 2 spaces in a random direction. And special, at the end of each round, Slimer moves 2 spaces towards the nearest slimed Ghostbuster. And if Slimer leaves the map, he re-enters the map on the opposite side of the map. So that's kind of cool. He's very aggressive. I'm curious what impossible mode Slimer is going to be, because you're only ever going to have one of them on the board, I would assume. When hit, 2 spaces towards the Ghostbuster. He's still 4 streams. 4 streams from 4 different Ghostbusters. Each Ghostbuster adjacent to Slimer gets slimed on a miss. Then Slimer moves 2 spaces in a random direction. Special Slimers to trap is increased by 2 for each slime on the Ghostbusters. Wow. Holy cow. And at the end of each round, Slimer moves 2 spaces towards the nearest Ghostbuster. So he's tough. Or impossible, as his tag says. And that's him from the cartoon. I included a cartoon picture because this seems to be more based on the cartoon than the movies. First class 6 figure is the Boogeyman. 4+ to hit. To trap 4 streams from at least 3 different Ghostbusters. When hit, moves 2 spaces towards that Ghostbuster. When trapped, place it on your character card. When missed, Boogeyman moves to a random space adjacent to the nearest closed gate. And special, at the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, Boogeyman moves 1 space towards the nearest closed gate. At the end of each round, if Boogeyman is adjacent to a closed gate, roll the event die, and if you rolled any closed gate symbol, open the gate he is adjacent to. Fear, Ghostbusters adjacent to Boogeyman cannot take actions. Wow. He's actually, again, from the cartoon, and he's pretty terrifying. That's pretty intense for a kid's cartoon. Next, we move on to Vince Clortho, one of the 2 terror dogs from the movie. To hit, 4+. To trap, he cannot be trapped because he's not a ghost. When hit, moves 1 space away from the Ghostbuster. When missed, moves 1 space at random, then 1 space towards that Ghostbuster, or towards Zool if it is on the map. He also has the Fear ability, so Ghostbusters adjacent to him cannot take actions. Vince Clortho cannot move through obstacles or leave the map, and he's also got the Push ability. When Vince Clortho moves into a Ghostbuster space, they get slimed and are moved 1 space in the same direction. That's him from the movie. Then, of course, we've got Zool, the other terror dog. Looks like the same, 4+ to hit, cannot be trapped, moves 1 space towards the nearest Ghostbuster on a hit, towards the Ghostbuster, so it looks like Zool is a little more aggressive than Vince Clortho, because he was 1 space away, and Zool is 1 space towards. When missed, move 1 space at random, then 1 space towards the Ghostbuster, or towards Vince Clortho if it is on the map. Got the Fear ability, cannot move through obstacles or leave the map, and also has the Push ability from the movie. Now, this is the only ghost that I think is just from the comics, and I think it's the main villain for the game. I think it's the villain that you're set up to have to defeat. I believe, I'm going to pronounce his name, Idolnus, could be Idolnus, could be something else entirely, I don't know. To hit 4 or higher, to trap 6 streams. When hit, moves 2 spaces towards that Ghostbuster. When trapped, place it on your character card. When missed, that Ghostbuster moves 2 spaces in a when missed, that Ghostbuster moves 2 spaces in a random directions. Obstacles and map edges stop movement. Special. At the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, Idolnus moves 2 spaces towards Ecto 1. And Idolnus cannot leave the map. And then there's Impossible Mode Idolnus, which needs 8 streams to trap. When hit, 2 spaces towards the Ghostbuster. When missed, that Ghostbuster targets the nearest Ghostbuster in line of sight by rolling a proton die. And a 4 or higher, that Ghostbuster loses all attached streams and its target loses 1 experience. This does not cost an action. Wow. That's brutal. At the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, Idolnus moves 2 spaces towards Ecto 1. Then, if he is on Ecto 1, move Idolnus and the Ecto 1 3 spaces in a random direction. If an obstacle or map edge stops the Ecto 1, remove the Ecto 1 from the scenario. And he cannot leave the map. And then this is him, I believe, from the comics. This is the only character that I think I think he's strictly from the video game that came out for the PS3 a few years ago. Ivo Shandor. To hit, 4+. To trap 4 streams from 4 different Ghostbusters. When hit, a ghost from the spirit world emerges from Ivo Shandor's space. When trapped, place it on your character card. When missed, roll the movement die, then lose that much XP. Wow. Special. Ivo Shandor is unaffected by combat until the gates are closed. At the end of each round, the highest class ghost from the spirit world emerges from Ivo Shandor's space. I think they established that he was the guy that built... he was actually mentioned in the movie, I think, as the guy that built the building that Dana Tully lived in. So that's kind of cool. And I think he was in the video game. I think that's where he really got fleshed out. And now we get to fight him in the board game. I think that's him from the video game. This is the one I was looking for. This was the... me and I'm sure a ton of other people. This is the what do you call it, add-on that we were waiting for. The Kickstarter extension. The Unlockable, or whatever. Sam Hain from the cartoon. One of my favorite villains from any TV show, really. He's kind of stuck with me throughout my entire life as kind of a cool villain. He's a class 6 ghost in the board game. To hit, 4+. To trap, 5 different streams. When hit, Sam Hain moves 1 space towards the Ghostbuster. When trapped, place it on your character card. When missed, a ghost emerges from Sam Hain, then Sam Hain moves 1 space in a random direction. Special. Sam Hain is unaffected by combat unless he is in front of the Ecto 1 and within line of sight of the front space of the Ecto-1, as in the green spaces shown in the little combat card. After Sam Hain moves, any ghost within his line of sight moves one space in the same direction. At the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, Sam Hain moves one space towards the nearest open gate. At the end of each round, if Sam Hain is adjacent to an open gate, a ghost emerges from each closed gate. Alright. That's him from the cartoon. Now we have another cartoon villain, the Sandman. He's another Class 6. Looks like Class 6 are where we start getting our boss characters. He is 4+ to hit, 4 streams from 3 different Ghostbusters. When hit, moves one space away from that Ghostbuster. Another, when trapped, displace it on your card. When missed, you are put to sleep, and then the Sandman moves one space in a random direction. Special, at the end of each round, Sandman teleports, without passing through intervening spaces, to a random space adjacent to the nearest Ghostbuster that is not asleep. Then roll the event die. If a closed gate is rolled, that Ghostbuster is put to sleep. Sleep. Lose all streams and skip each of your turns. An adjacent Ghostbuster may spend an action to wake you up. Sandman cannot leave the map. And him from the cartoon. So now we have Boogaloo, Class 7, 3 or higher to hit, 9 streams to trap. When hit, moves 2 spaces towards the Ghostbuster. When missed, a ghost from the spirit world emerges from that Ghostbuster's space. And then that ghost and Boogaloo move 1 space in a random direction. When trapped, remove Boogaloo from the scenario instead of each Ghostbuster gains 3 XP. We got some thunder going on outside. Let's see. So, special. Terrain ghosts do not block line of sight to Boogaloo. When 2 Boogaloo manifestations occupy the same space, remove them from the scenario and place Boogaloo from outside the scenario into that space. At the end of each round, each Ghostbuster within Boogaloo's line of sight move 1 space at random, 3 times. Obstacles and map edges stop movement. And that's him from the cartoon. Now we have Gozer, the big boss from the movie. Class 7, to hit 4+, to trap, Gozer cannot be trapped. When hit, leaps 3 spaces away, does not pass through intervening spaces. When missed, roll the event die until you roll a gate, and then Gozer moves to a random space adjacent to that gate. Special. At the end of the round, Gozer leaps 2 spaces towards the nearest Ghostbuster, then pushes all Ghostbusters within line of sight of Gozer 1 space towards the nearest edges of the map. If Gozer leaves the map, roll the event die until you roll a gate symbol, and then place Gozer in a random space adjacent to that gate. And that's her from the movies. Now we have Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, 4+ to hit, add a stream. To trap, 10 streams from at least 4 different Ghostbusters. When hit, moves into that Ghostbuster space. When trapped, place it on your character card. When missed, moves 1 space in a random direction. Special, push. When Stay Puft moves in Ghostbuster space, they get slimed and are moved 1 space in that same direction. Terrain and ghosts do not block line of sight to Stay Puft. At the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, Stay Puft moves 1 space towards the nearest Ghostbuster, and Stay Puft cannot leave the map. And he's going to be a big figure. I think they said he was like 100 millimeters tall or something. And if you think that a standard wargame finisher is like 35 millimeters, he's going to be, 6 inches tall, something like that. He's going to be a big figure. I cannot wait to see him. Then there's Impossible Mode, Stay Puft. Oh my god, 30 streams to trap. You can't even do that with 4 Ghostbusters. All you can do with 4 Ghostbusters, because each one only can do 5 streams, so you can only do 20 streams, so you can't even do him with the, I don't know, there must be something in the special abilities. When hit, moves 1 space towards a Ghostbuster. When trapped, put on a character card. When missed, moves 1 space in a random direction, then 1 space towards that Ghostbuster. Terrain and ghosts do not block line of sight. If the Stay Puft enters the same space as a Ghostbuster, place them on Stay Puft's Ghost card. They are grabbed. While on its card, they lose all actions and streams. Up to 2 Ghostbusters can be on Stay Puft's card at a time. If a third Ghostbuster would be grabbed, they get slapped and pushed away instead. When the Stay Puft is hit, place any grabbed Ghostbusters into random spaces adjacent to Stay Puft. At the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, if there are any streams on Stay Puft, it moves 1 space towards the Ghostbuster with the most streams on it. Stay Puft's to trap is reduced by 5 for each closed gate. There we are. And Stay Puft cannot leave the mat. And there he is. He's also got a good scene in the epic rap battle, Ghostbusters versus Mythbusters. If you haven't seen that, I definitely suggest checking it out. Now we have the last, I believe, of the baddies. The highest level monster you'll face in the board game, Cthulhu. To hit, 3+. To trap, cannot be trapped. When hit, moves 2 spaces towards that Ghostbuster. When missed, moves 2 spaces towards that Ghostbuster, then moves 1 space in a random direction. Special, Cthulhu starts with 3 slime tokens on it. Terrain and ghosts do not block line of sight to Cthulhu. When Cthulhu is adjacent to a gate as it closes, remove a slime token. When Cthulhu has no slime tokens, remove it from the scenario. And each Ghostbuster gains 3 XP. At the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, Cthulhu moves 1 space towards the nearest map edge. If Cthulhu leaves the map, you lose the game. Push, when Cthulhu moves into a Ghostbuster space, they get slimed and are moved 1 space. So at the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, Cthulhu moves 1 space towards the nearest map edge. But if you shoot at him, he comes to get you. If you hit him, he comes to get you. So you definitely want to be on Cthulhu. And this is him from the cartoon. So the final card we have to look at is the Paranormal Contracts Oversight Commission card, the Walter Peck card. Inspection notice. At the end of each Ghostbuster's turn, Walter Peck moves 1 space towards the nearest Ghostbuster. Then if he is adjacent to a Ghostbuster, all their trapped ghosts emerge from their space. Shut it off. If Walter Peck is within line of sight of the Ecto-1, trapped ghosts cannot be deposited into it. Note, Walter Peck can get slimed. While Peck is slimed, he cannot move. At the end of each round, remove all slime tokens. So he's just there to be a pain in the butt, which is kind of neat. He was another one of the stretch goals. That's what you call him. He was a stretch goal. Kind of an interesting one, I guess, but there are a few things I would have rather seen. I guess after having looked through all the ghosts like we just have, the one thing I think is that there's not a lot that happens when you trap a ghost. I would like to have seen, I don't know, something. Some other things other than just place it on your card. Maybe they're saving it for potential expansions. I don't know. But I think it looks very interesting. I think these might be all the ghosts that if you got... These don't come just in the core set. The core set comes with only a few ghosts. These were all the stretch goals that were unlocked in the Kickstarter, and you had to have pledged to the Kickstarter level to get all these. So if you don't think you're getting all these in the core set, you're not. You have to have picked up the Kickstarter set that includes everything. And that's what I did, and it cost a little over $300. So if you did not get the Kickstarter and you look to get this on eBay or something in October, it's probably going to be very expensive. I already know people who said they're going to be putting it up at a $750 starting price and a $1,000 buy it now, which is unfortunate. I wish I had pledged enough to get 2, and maybe could have tried to offer one at a reasonable price. But unfortunately, $600 was just not something I could do. But there you have it. Every ghost that I think has been released in the update. And I might take a couple and do individual spotlights on each. Some of my favorites to look at their history, where they came from, what they're about, and how I think they'll impact the game. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.